Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of A Contagious Smile. We have, do you want me to go by Dr. Ray or just Ray? You call it.
Dr. Ray's fine.
Dr. Ray, he has multiple doctorates, and I have to say the one of doctorates from medical and from the School of Hard Knocks. He is a plethora of resources and an inspiration and a light, and you just have to get to know him as I'm being so honored to do so right now. Dr. Ray, thank you so much for making time in your busy schedule to be here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of
Appreciate it.
course, of course. So let's go here first, because the one thing that really grabbed me about you was you had to drop out of school. For what reason?
So when I was in high school, or when I graduated elementary school and went into junior high school, I basically went into correctional facility training. It's
Okay,
kind for lack of better terms,
sure.
because I was born and raised in the inner city. It was very rough around the edges. Think about New York City in the 90s, post-crack
Oof.
epidemic, gang violence, just trauma, people getting shot, that chalk outlining their body. Like, this is the things I used to see on my way to school. And while I was in school going through um junior high school, I was getting suspended, I was getting into fights, and it was just basically like training to be an inmate, right? And the last grade I ever completed was the eighth grade in junior high school. So I'm a high school dropout. Like, I went into high school and then just, you know, I just gave up on it. I was going, but I kept getting into trouble. I got into a gang. I used to carry weapons. People shot at me. I was arrested for the first time at age 13. And, my past is very different from my present.
Right.
So the reason why I like give you the context is because I dropped out of high school because there was a gang war that was going on prior to the 9/11 attack, because I was in high school during those times, and I was leaning more towards the gang I was in. Like, when you go through stuff together, whether you're in a gang, in a relationship, a friendship, a
Sure.
coworker, any
Right.
type of things that you go through together. Like, if you think about the bond, right, that you have with the people you love, it's usually because of something that you went through with them.
Right.
So, I would happen to be going through this gang war with them. So, and I ended up just dropping out of high school. Um, but, on the flip side of it, now I have a doctorate degree in medicine. Like, so it's a testament of, whoever's listening, just please understand that, you could do it too.
Right.
Like,
How did you
like
get
just
out of
have
the
have
game?
inspiration.
How-
I got out of the gang. Well, after being shot at, after finding out who the person was, I started to plan a homicidal revenge spree with a few of my comrades, for lack of better terms. But then I remember on the hot, because this happened in the Dominican Republic. Um, my mother deported me over there. See, like, Caribbean parents, they have this thing where, like, if you misbehave, we'll just send you back to our country of origin, and let you appreciate the United States of America. But it actually made things worse a little bit, because there's a little bit like there's no forensic files in the Dominican Republic, you
Right.
know.
Right.
But as I was looking at my mother feeling the Caribbean heat at the top of a stairway in our house, I got an echo in my head, and it said, if you continue going on the path you're on, you're gonna end up dead or in jail.
It's a pretty
And this
strong
is
voice.
something, yeah, this is something that I heard all throughout elementary school. Like, the teachers, like, yo, you're misbehaving, you're a truancy, and all this stuff. But I always ignored it. But for some reason, right as the plans for revenge were ready to materialize, I heard this voice, but I actually paid attention this time.
Hmm.
And I
And
was
you
like, wow,
you were raised by a single mom, right?
yeah, raised by a single mother, on welfare,
Bless her heart.
government assistance, in the inner city of New York, without a father figure.
How was that
And
growing up without a father figure, if you don't mind me asking?
Growing up without a father figure is literally one of the worst things that can happen to a child. And one of just to take that up another notch, if you're raised with the wrong father figure,
That's
that's
what I was
even
about to ask.
worse. So you could have a father at home, and if you're a father, whoever's listening, but you're not the right father figure, then you might be doing more damage than good. So in my case, I was raised with no father, then I was seeking for guidance from a masculine figure because my mother, she could give me all the oxytocin she can,
Right, sure.
that feel good hormone, that motherly warmth. But a woman can't show a boy how to be a man. She can try, but a man has to go through that rite of passage. And was looking for my rite of passage in the worst places, which was like gangster rap music, gangster movies, and like the gangsters from my neighborhood. And like even my relatives who were in and out of jail. So like at the age of 10, when I was in elementary school, I remember having a goal, a life goal. My life goal was to be incarcerated for something more violent than my family members.
That was a goal?
That was a goal. Like literally, like I want to go to jail for something more badass than them.
Right.
Yeah, but this was all because of the brainwashing.
Right, absolutely.
I
No.
mean, the gang,
Definitely.
the music, the music, the movies. Because my mom, she barely knew any English, so like she wouldn't really understand the consequences of what I was consuming, which was this very bad information,
Right.
And these guys were like, rambunctious. They were masculine, quote unquote, and they had like all the female attention. And I used to see the same thing in the neighborhood. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like what I should be doing, because I don't have anybody else to tell me otherwise.
Sure. Now, did you have siblings?
I had a lot of cousins.
Yeah, like
So
yeah.
I'm the only child on my mother's side, and my father had like other families in Dominican Republic, and he decided to live over there. And by the way, I don't hold any grudges towards my father. Like I'm not in contact with him, but he's in the Dominican Republic, and I wish him the best. And I just got to tell you guys, if you walk around with a victim mindset, you will stay a victim. You got to empower yourself and just forgive. As difficult as it may be, you need to smile. This is one of the most contagious things.
The
Hence
contagious
the fact,
smile.
yeah, hence the fact why it's the contagious smile. But this is something that you want to be like receive, right? And one of the best things to make that happen for yourself, I want to give you guys an actionable item. I felt the weight off my shoulders when I forgave my father. So somebody hurt you, everyone gets hurt. But as hard as it may be, and as easy as it is for me to say it, right? But hard it is for you to do, you feel like I forgot the exact wording, but it's like resentment is like drinking a poison that's supposed to hurt the other person, but is really hurting you.
Right. I tell everybody when I do speaking engagements that you have one heart, it's one size, and that you can fill it with all the love or you can consume it with all the hate. And that person that did that to you doesn't deserve that kind of power. And you deserve
Right.
to be full of love and to enjoy every minute. And the person, even though I don't classify him as a person, that abused me that I was married to, I pray every night for him, every single night. I forgive, but I can't seem to totally forget. I mean, I'm
No,
still a
yeah,
human, but and I look at
yeah,
any part of me and I see, but I have forgiven him because I don't want to live my life like that. And I
right.
keep telling people that it's such a huge transition once you've done that. It's huge.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely, it is. It
And then and
absolutely
then
is.
and it's also like the way I look at it is like my cup is half full, not half empty.
Hmm.
So I look at whatever it was that I went through in the past as a step up or like a springboard towards the life I'm gonna eventually live. So it's like you have to look at what you go through as a blessing in disguise.
Right. Yes.
Like if you really, really like think about it, like if you guys have read the book The Alchemist, The
Hmm.
alchemist is someone who's able to turn lead into gold. But if your poopy pants negative mindset doesn't
Right.
allow you to turn it into gold, then it will stay as lead.
Hmm.
So like you started off just writing into your computer, venting, and now look at how many people you've been able to help.
And it's people like you who've made us be able to do that. It's not me, it's not us, it's the fact that we're providing these amazing individuals to survive and show their resources and stories. And I have so many people say, I put in the earphones, I turn my phone onto black screen and I listen, and it's inspiration for me. It makes me feel like I can do it too. And that's why we do what we do, is because I've always taught
That's
my
it.
daughter, help one person a day minimum, make a difference one person. I go to the store and I like the other day I went to Costco and I saw this like 90-year-old guy, looked like Walter Matthau, and he was so cute. And I was like, "Can I help you unload your cart?" And he looked over at me and he goes, "I should be helping you." And I said, "No, I have one good hand. You can have it. I'm." And he was like, "No, no, 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 no." But then I get the people who stare at me everywhere I go and make comments. Kids love it because I'll talk to them and use it as an opportunity to teach them. But it's the adults that need to be taught, because I have so many times had the adults be like, "Oh, like I have some plague and I'm going to give it to them if I touch them," or like just the looks and the comments, and they're
I
so
feel I
heartless.
feel I feel sorry for people like that.
I do too.
Like when I see people with road rage, I see a loser.
Hmm.
Like I'm if you tune into my social media, I'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Right.
And
I'd
if
love to have you on
anybody,
Unstoppable. You'd be fantastic.
yeah,
Unstoppable
yeah,
is
yeah,
that podcast where we are filter free and we talk about things like 100%, no filter, laid
yeah,
out, and
yeah. Anybody who's not able, like when I'm in the gym, right? I lift weights, and if I see a morbidly obese person, I respect them so much,
because they're in the gym making a difference. They're trying.
and they're fighting these inner demons. There's mirrors all over the place. Mirrors all they don't want to see those mirrors.
No, they
They
don't.
don't want to be at this gym. They don't, but yet they're fighting it. So I'm a winner. Like I win at life. I was a big loser at one point in my life, like suicidal thoughts, addiction, divorce, autoimmune disease. My kidneys were failing me. I was addicted to pornography, addicted to prostitution. It was like a whole,
You
like my
are?
past is, yeah,
Wow.
like my past is very different from my present. And that's why I'm just trying to share with you the context that allows me to see through what that person is going through. You ever seen Avatar where the guy's like, I see you.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
like I see you. So a person who doesn't see you for what you're doing and who you are is unfortunately a loser. And you don't want to deal with those people anyway. Like, thank you. If you gave me $20 and I didn't pay you back, I just did you a favor. Because now you know, like I can't trust this person with $20.
Mhm.
Thank you for letting me know with just $20 instead of $200,000, for example.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
just to give some context to that, you know, I kind of enjoy that. Like
How
I
did you
enjoy people showing their true colors.
Absolutely. How did you overcome your addictions?
I replace them
May I ask with what?
with I replace the addictions that used to break me down for addictions that build me up.
Such as working out, helping others.
Working out, martial arts, paying my blessings forward, speaking to people, just sharing what works for me because we're all the same. We have the same organs, we have the same necessities. We're identical
Hmm.
with the exception of like our genetic variability. Like human beings and everything on this earth is 99.9% identical. What changes is our 0.01% genetic variability, which makes us individuals. So your addictions are my addictions. It's just different. Like our coping mechanisms are addictions. So if you're depressed, if you're feeling down, if for whatever reason, you're feeling any type of pain, your brain is leading you towards comfort. You're trying to feel good. And what do people choose? They choose sex, they choose food, they choose nicotine, they choose alcohol, they choose anger, they choose these vices. These are
Right.
addictions.
Right.
But what I did was I replaced them for other things that cause the same, I dare to say, even more pleasure with no guilt.
Hmm.
And those are like martial arts. I do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I do Muay Thai every once in a while. I lift heavy weights. I help people. And I also live in a calorie deficit. Like I track my macronutrients, I track the food I eat, and I'm reaching single digit body fat. So, like, I was born with birthmarks, like, I don't know if you can see, but
I never
there's this,
noticed. I didn't even notice.
yeah. So I've had people look at me the way you're talking, right?
Hmm.
Especially as a child. But at this phase in my life, I feel on top of the world. Like I went from being divorced to being remarried. I got a brand new baby daughter. She's 2 months old. I
Congratulations.
have two sons. Like I'm living the life I've created. And when I run across people like the one you're mentioning, I just feel sorry for them. Like instead of me being offended, I'm just like, damn, like, wow, you're living in a dark place, you know?
What do you say to somebody? I help a lot of people, right, that have gained weight because it's comfort. It's the only thing they can control, but they eat a lot for comfort because you don't, when you're in an abusive situation and you're told something every day, it becomes your norm. It becomes your reality. And it's like if someone tells you you're ugly, no one's ever going to want you but me. This is you the best you're ever going to get. You begin to believe it. And what I try to tell people is even the smallest spark will set a wildfire. And your spark has not gone out. And we're going to bring it back. We're going to show you that you are worth fighting for, that you are that person that you were before, but you're actually stronger. You're a better version. You're a 2.0 of that. But they get lost in food because it's a comfort. It gives them some positive sense in their mind of fulfillment when they're going through all this. How can they kind of shed that when they've put on like considerable weight to come back into a healthier lifestyle if they have absolutely no clue what they're doing and how to do it?
Well, what I would say is that first and foremost is totally understandable. This is human mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
Like your brain, like think about it. If I give you a complicated concept to understand, your brain is not excited about it because our brains are wired to like conserve calories.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't like our brain is made to understand that we don't know where the next meal is coming from. Hence the fact why we hold on to fat and carbs in our body because we're like preparing for hibernation or for like a prolonged fast. So it's a defense mechanism. You look for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I gotta say. The second thing I gotta say is if you wanna overcome this, my advice is seek help because there's a lot of confusion. There's money to be made in confusion.
Yes.
So is it the keto diet? Is it fasting? Should I do the Atkins diet, the low carb diet, the carnivore diet? All these things are giving you suggestions while you're dealing with this abuse.
Well, a lot of them don't have money to be able to get that kind of help for that because they're trying to get out.
Yeah, this is what I mean. So you have all these things going on. So the help could either be you hire somebody or lean on one person on social media with the results that you want and just focus on what they're doing, what they say, the way they move, and let them mentor you virtually.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah. So if you don't have money because you're financially dependent on somebody, and that person happens to be the person you're trying to get away from,
Right.
you really have, like, I read this in the book where it said if you get hit from the back while driving, as per the insurance company, it's the drivers that hit you in the back's fault.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, you could have taken a different route. You could have left your house 10 minutes earlier. You could have just been in a different place at a different time and never been rear-ended. So we need to take extreme accountability for where we are. Like step one to overcoming anything, whether it's addiction, abuse, a disease, is to first be conscious that it's happening. And once we have the consciousness and the wherewithal, then we need to start working towards the solution. So you need to understand that if you're having a overeating issue, the problem is being manifested through the obesity, but the problem is way bigger.
Right.
The problem is depression. The problem is low self-worth. The problem is low self-esteem. The problem is where you're located and the person that is planting these negative seeds in your subconscious. So if that's the problem, like for example, I've cured people from high blood pressure and diabetes, right? Not with metformin or not with lisinopril. What's the problem? You're obese. You have high blood pressure. Your heart is working harder than it's supposed to. Hence the fact why you have high blood pressure, because you have high body weight. So we gotta cut to the solution is not a band-aid. The solution is the stitches. So the solution to your problem is not so much a keto diet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to understand the mindset that is making you relapse on this addiction, because a lot of times people will look at a drug addict, an alcoholic, and kind of feel like they're like the scum of society or something. But in reality, an obese person is just as bad, in the sense that what they have in common is that they all have an addiction. They just chose a different one. A degenerate gambler, same shit. Oh, sorry for cursing. A degenerate gambler is the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
A person who's always in the strip club, same thing. And a jerk who exerts himself physically is addicted to the feeling of anger and feeling stronger than somebody. So, and all that I dare to say is linked to depression. It's like positive feedback loop. It's like you consume this substance. The substance, after you finish it, makes you feel guilty for doing it. That guilt makes you depressed, and then you're back to consuming the substance to get away from the depression. And then you just spiral year after year after year, like a dog chasing their tail or a hamster on a wheel with this positive feedback loop. And that is the same for alcoholics, drug addicts, obese people, and just people with low energy. Like there was a time where I was addicted to being depressed. It was kind of weird. Like I used to enjoy feeling down. Like it became my norm. That it became so normal for me to feel like this victim mindset, this why me mindset, that I just look for reasons to continue feeling it.
So how'd you come out of it?
Mentorship. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'm a product, like if I go from being raised the way I've been raised to now having a doctorate degree and reaching over 4 million people worldwide and impacting people directly and indirectly, I didn't make any of this stuff up. This is mentorship. This is like leaning towards people or on people who have been where I want to be and letting them guide me. We're interdependent. Like if I want to start up a nonprofit organization where like I'm gifting out toys, I know who to speak to. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. So you got to get around people that are going to show you how to overcome your obstacle because they overcame it.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, so if you want to be healthy, for example, I'm your man, and then there's other people who do the same thing. Just
Right.
find that one person who you resonate with the most, you know, and just let them guide you. Like people always try to figure it out on their own.
And then if they slip, they give up.
Yeah, because the thing is, like when I work with my clients, I want them to feel the win immediately because that builds momentum. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, that spark could turn into a wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get results in this endeavor that you're ignorant to, it makes you like fall back to your old ways.
Because that's
So
comfortable for you. That's your normal.
yeah, and this is the same thing for men, the same thing for women, this is the same thing for even dogs. Like my dog, he pees in the same place he smells, oh, I peed there before, and we're the same. We're the same.
Right.
Like yeah, like that's just the way it is. We're built for survival.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that instinct to conserve energy also makes us lazy
We're in a very,
if
very
you
lazy
allow
state.
it to.
Right. Let me ask you, totally out in left field. I'm so interested to see your response to this. Do you believe that, like, I'm pretty sure we're kind of similar in age, maybe. But when we were in school, we didn't have to worry about things that these kids have to worry about now. And it's heart-wrenching to me as a parent, as I'm sure it is to you as a parent as well, that kids are saying, I don't want to go to school because I'm going to get shot. I don't know if I'm going to come home. And how do you feel about the fact that, do you believe video games is a big part of this problem that we're having in this age group right now?
I feel that the very first thing I feel, and it may be selfish, but it's for my own peace of mind, and my peace of mind is needed for me to go ahead and be the man I need to be for my family. By definition, a man is supposed to be able to protect, provide, and lead his family down the right path. And I refrain from paying too much attention to things that are out of my control. So I focus on controlling what's within my control so that when things that are out of my control arise, I'll be more in control.
That
So
makes
like
perfect
I'm
sense.
I'm not the type to like debate about politics and all these things because I got to worry about my backyard first.
Of course.
So with school shootings and school violence, there's very little you could do because these things are very abrupt and non-expected. And every time I see it, it breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's horrible that now we're like becoming like desensitized on it. But what I would say is that if those kids were in my life, like the ones who did it, they wouldn't be doing it.
Right. Right.
I wouldn't let them do that because they're gonna look at me like, oh wow, this guy does exercises with over 500 pounds. He does martial arts. He's a real man. Like my kids, right? I have three kids: Reynolds, Xavier, and our newborn daughter Dahlia.
I love
7 years
that.
old. Yeah, thank you. 7 years old, 6 years old, and 2 months old, respectively. And my little son has this. My sons have a very similar personality that I do, which is kind of like defiant, a little rough around the edges. And the way I discipline my son is I make him do squats. I make him do push-ups. Like, hey, listen, I was asking you to behave at the supermarket. You decided not to. That's fine. When we get home, I need you to do 100 squats,
Can they do
200
100
squats.
squats?
They do them.
I thought holding the exercise ball against the wall would be bad.
No, so this is the same thing that they do in the military. It's the rite of passage. Think about it. A
Right.
1,000 years ago, those same 7-year-old kids were welding knives and killing cats and like like throwing bow and arrows, helping their father hunt.
Right. It's true. That is true. You ride on an ambulance. So, and you ride on an ambulance in New York. So you've got to have some crazy stories. You got to share a couple of them with us.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it's something that's very it's heartbreaking to see humanity go through what it goes through because on the ambulance, first responders, we happen to be the infantry of medicine. We're like knocking
1,000%
on
agree.
people. Yeah, we're on people's doorstep. We're carrying them, and you know, I have guys. I've been a healthcare provider for 20 years. Like I became an EMT in 2003, and pretty much all my healthcare provider experience has been in poverty-stricken areas. So you get to see a lot of crazy stuff for sure.
Do you have a couple of favorite stories you want to share? Is there ever been a time that you were really worried about your own life?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Like even yeah, all the time. It happens all the time. Like all the time. Like having to worry about your life is something that comes with the territory. Because like think about it, you get dispatched to a random person who called 911. You don't
Mhm.
know that person's intentions, right? It could be like a terrorist or something. You knock on somebody's door, you don't know what's behind that door. You're just there with your oxygen trying to help them, you know? So your life is in danger. And sometimes you reach these locations where there's domestic violence and the guy is all upset. You reach these locations where people are drunk, on drugs, or there was just recently a shooting, or there's like a stray dog or something, and if you guys look at violent acts in New York City, for those of you that are not in New York City, they're mostly happening in the Bronx. This is where I work. Like I'm a medical doctor with a doctorate degree in medicine, working as a first responder, you know? And and this is the thing that happened. You learn a lot, you see a lot. But one of the best things I've ever seen is to see the way the moms of special needs kids know more than I do as a doctor and know more than the like nurse that's assigned to the patient.
I'd always
So
get
like
asked, where do you work at? Where do you practice?
they
It's like,
think you're a doctor, they think you're a nurse.
right. Because I go in there and I'm like, I'm presenting a da 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 who was born da 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 da.
Right, right.
We have, and they're like, and I'm like, here's the surgery dates and the dates of the blood transfusions and da 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 da
And
da. And
these are the events that led up to us being here is that her pulse oximeter was 90 and I was like and you're just like and I just love to see that. I love to see, and by the way, for anyone who has special needs kids listening to this, one thing that I've learned from transporting special needs kids and working in pediatric wards and things like that, you have to treat them normal.
mm-hmm. Thank you
Speak
for
to
saying
them,
that. Thank you.
speak to them normally. Like if they have cerebral palsy, if they have hydrocephalus, if they're on events, if they have anything going on, it doesn't mean you have to change the cadence of your speech. Like just speak to them, make them feel empowered. I had this one child, the nurse, everyone was like, oh my God, yeah, he might not ever be able to stand. And I gave him my finger. I just gave him my finger. He gripped my finger. And I was like, come on, Bobby, come on. I was speaking to him like with a Spanish accent. Come on, Bob. And like he just kept trying and sitting back. And I gave him my finger. He kept trying and sitting back. I'm working as a paramedic in this hospital, um, transporting another patient. Like, come on. Vamos, vamos. Like his mom was like Mexican or something. And he used my fingers to stand up, then eventually grabbed the rail, right, for the baby crib he was in. Like this baby was like, call him baby, but he was like 3 years old, 4 years old. and he just like grabbed. You should have seen him when he finally reached the rail. He just shook it like, ah! I told you not
Good
to
for
do
him.
it. Yeah, it was awesome. Like it was like awesome. Like just like how simple. Like they just gave up on him, kind of. Like they were helping him. They were changing his diaper. They were doing everything they could. But it was like they were treating him based on his
Diagnosis.
disability or his
Right.
diagnosis. And it was just like, I'm like, come here, man. No, I
They
looked at it like it was like intuition, like because
yeah,
you get this thing where it's like your clinical experience allows you to like see, like what's prudent, what's not, what's
right.
doable, what's not.
We were given a when we were hospitalized once, we were when she was life flighted, we were there for 6 months. I never left her once, never went home, there the whole time. Then we were in there again for another month later on, and she had a tracheostomy placed. And then, I mean, to watch your own child code over and over again is something that you don't ever want anyone to have to experience. It's awful. And so one of the times we were in there, they told her that she wasn't allowed to get up and walk the floor. She wasn't ready. And I, us special needs parents, we're creative. And so I was like, okay. And so I said, come on. I put her little slippers on and I said, let's get this, one of the antibacterial wipes, and I wiped the IV pole completely down. And then I said, all right, hold on here. And then I got her robe and I took the robe tie and I tied the robe tie to her and to me. And I said, hold on to it really tight, hold on to the IV pole. And she did. And like at a pace, I walked her around the whole floor. And they were like, what are you doing? I said, she's not walking. And I was like, she doesn't have to stay in that room.
Listen to this, please. Oxygenated blood flow has the potential to cure all,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very difficult to hear that from unhealthy healthcare providers.
Yes. Because a
Like
lot
these
of them think
healthcare,
of him as a patient, like as a doctorate, not as a doctorate, but as like a case. They're not a person. It's
yeah,
like a
and these
revolving
same these
door.
same these same nurses, nothing against the nurses, especially at these hospitals, because they do an amazing work. But most of them are not healthy.
Right.
They're stressed out. They're also obese, but their obesity comes from like too many hours, not from physical abuse, but like too many hours. They're sitting down. They're typing everything they got to do. They're like eating fast food because they got too many patients, and it gets to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what you did is a testament to how great your daughter's doing. Your health is your responsibility, not the doctors or the nurses. Now, if I'm under the scalpel, then that my health is the
Right.
responsibility of the surgeon.
Of course.
But for
Of
like
course.
stuff like that, it's like it's your responsibility. So I want the listeners to feel empowered. Like your health is your responsibility. Your well-being is your responsibility. Stop looking for other people to come and save you, because guess what? No one's coming to save you. There's resources out there to help you. They will guide you down the right path if you lean on the right people, like my big sister Victoria right here. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like meet me halfway, please.
Right. Right. Have you ever had
And this
a patient really just change your life forever, other than our adorably cute stand-up 3-year-old?
it happens almost all the time.
Really?
It happens often because I'm very humanitarian.
I can see that.
So
Absolutely.
every patient that I have, I like I don't look at them as a patient. So it's like they all change my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like they all do. Like even the drunks. I'm like, even the drunks. I'm like, what happened, man? Tell me what happened. What led to your alcoholism? Why did you relapse? And I use words that trigger them. Like, oh, he knows. They look at me like he knows. Like you use words like relapse, and that's something that they use in AA. You
Right.
know?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. But you don't have one that specifically just sticks out to you. We love our special needs kid stories.
yeah. So when it comes to like patients that really stuck out to me, you know, it's been 20 years. So there's a lot of them,
Right.
but most of them are more towards like traumatic events. They're like there's a lot of good people that I met while working on the ambulance, but there's a like the ones that really really stick out to me are like traumatic events, things that happen that change the person's life forever. And um there's so many of those. Usually they involve females. Like just I'm not Bruce Lee. I mean, I know how to defend myself. My cauliflower ear is something that is starting to form, but I still have this way of being where it's a little rough around the edges. And like anytime I see someone like do something to a woman who, I just feel like getting physical.
And now you have a
Um,
daughter.
and now I have a daughter. Yeah.
Woo!
So it's kind of like, you just gotta be professional, but also be ready. As just give you the first responder perspective. You got to be ready. Like you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And guys, there's this movie Enough by
I've
J
seen
Lo.
it so many times.
This is a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. Like she's like, you know what? No one's coming to save me. This guy is not stopping. I got to do what I got to do. And it goes back to the extreme accountability we mentioned at the beginning
Right.
and seeking help. She seeked the trainer. Of course, she had resources. Like her dad was like a millionaire or whatnot.
Right.
But
Right.
but it's like, you know, not everyone has like a famous dad who's a millionaire who's gonna be able to fund all that stuff for you. But whatever, figure it out. Like what the hell's gonna happen? You're just gonna be another statistic.
That's so true. So if you could leave our listeners with a final thought for the day, what would it be?
I would say that the best knowledge is the one you're ready to share with somebody who's willing to receive it.
It's definitely a good one. Dr. Ray, thank you so much for giving us your time and your wisdom today. I truly appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.